are live for another dose of positivity. And I want to welcome all you stewards of the land, humanitarians, and beautiful souls who are doing good work in the world. And for those who are finding a new avenue to channel your energy, welcome. We are so grateful that you're here. And if you're listening to the replay, please make sure you put any comments or questions in there, and we will address all of them at some point. And before we get started, I want to remind everybody who's on here, aloha, Colleen, aloha, everybody who's popping in the room right now, you're just in the right place. We're so grateful you're here live. This is a live broadcast, and we welcome all of your comments, your feedback, your questions. And if you have a question that you would like to ask and come off mute or off video, please raise your hand. And today's special guest is, we've been trying to do this for a while, and I'm so grateful to have Pua Case in the house, who's going to be speaking with us on a very important topic near and dear to all of our hearts, and that is the strength for women and where we stand. So be prepared for a fabulous interview today, everyone. So sit back, grab your cherry juice, your beverage, your warm, cozy cocoa, and I'm going to just do a little warm up before I give Pua the formal introduction that she deserves. But I wanted to start with this quote from my book, one of my books, Living Like the Future Matters. As you know, I have a lot of quotes from amazing people in here. But this is from Oren Lyons, a very old chief from the Iroquois tribe. I'm pretty sure he's from Iroquois. And he says, the law says, if you poison the water, you die. The law says, if you poison the air, you will suffer. The law says, if you degrade where you live, you'll suffer. If you don't learn that, you can only suffer. There's no discussion with this law. And now I want to read another quote from someone who's far, far away from the mainland of Hawaii, where I live, from an incredible woman who wrote this at 16 years of age, who is a climate activist, Greta Thunberg. Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope, but I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day, and I want you to act. I want you to act as you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if the house is on fire, because it is. Thank you, Greta. Thank you, Oren Lyons. And thank you, Pua Case, for being here today to expand on this conversation with us, because this is something that we really all need to be talking about on a daily basis. And I just want to remind everybody who's just coming in now, this is a live broadcast, so please put yourself on mute, and that would be really great. So Pua, who lives like just over the hill from me, on this beautiful island called the Big Island of Hawaii. Her life path and purpose has led her to become a Kumu Hula, a teacher of traditional dance and chant, and a teacher of the ways, culture, and the tradition of the, and you'll have to correct me on this, Pua, about kanaka, maoli, or native people of Hawaii. Did I say that right? I want to give it the respect it deserves.
It's kanaka maoli, I believe you were trying to say.
Thank you. Pua has a degree in Hawaiian language and culture, and she is a teaching degree in social studies, interwoven with the traditional teachings, philosophies, expectations from her Kuma and elders. Puna has integrated Ike Hawai'i, or Hawaiian knowledge, and lessons into the public school systems for over 30 years. And we are going to put several links in the chat for all of you to explore more into the depth of this amazing woman's life and what she has done and what she continues to do to contribute not only to the big island of Hawaii, but to the world. And she's going to be sharing with us how her outreach and what she has done and others, her sisters, are doing to make this world a better place so that we can all be activated protectors of the Pachamama. So Pua, I just want to welcome you so much to a dose of positivity. And I would love so much for you to just kind of take this whole hour. I have a few questions, but basically give us your background and what you're standing for. Why? What's your genealogical link?
Sure. Aloha, everybody. Aloha to those of you that I know. I see some of you on here and many of you I can't see, I believe. So I'm just going to trust and know that no matter where we are in a sacred space. And I'm also going to be mindful that I come here probably because of the two words that we all have been accustomed to hearing when you see me anywhere, and that is the words Mauna Kea, Mauna Awa Kea, Mauna Akea, Ke Kuahivia Kea. You know, the words that say, Mauna Kea, my mountain, mountain of sky, Father. And if not for Mauna Kea, we wouldn't be on this call today. So we're going to acknowledge that Mauna Kea, the highest mountain in the world from the seafloor, in some way has brought us all together here. Because Mauna Kea is the pala, the sealant, the unifier that has joined us all together. And let's just say, Yeah,
Yeah.
because that means indeed it is so. What has brought us as men and women, as youth together today and every other day? A mountain, indeed. So I'm going to begin by just what I did this morning in the early morning. I've been working with a group of students that are really working hard on the continent for Mauna Kea. I find that unbelievable because they can't see the mountain every day as I do. Yet their efforts to create a divestment from the building of the 30-meter telescope on our sacred mountain is so huge. So this morning I drove out to just where I can see Mauna Kea, not far from my dad's house, like 1 minute away. And I paused on the side of the road and I took a photo of Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, both covered with snow still today. And I'm going to post that after this so that you can reflect on that. It'll be on Mauna Kea Education and Awareness and Pua Case on Instagram and Facebook. But the reason that I took this photo today and I sat there looking at the mountain, and I might cry throughout this, but if you know me, you know that that's all good. It's just emotion and total love for Hawaii and for my people and for all people. And so, you know, feel free to just laugh at me or cry with me. It's all good either way. But I sat there looking at the mountain and I thought, how blessed I am that every morning and throughout the day, I can look at this mountain that we are all talking about, standing for, supporting, finding out about little by little. I can do that 100 times a day if I choose to, but I better do it at least one time. My prayer to the top of the mountain at least one time. To be grateful, to be thankful, to be asking, to be receiving. And then I thought of everybody who supports Mauna Kea in some way or another, who can't see the Mauna even from another district. on this island or the other islands, or beyond that, the continent, or beyond that, the whole world. And I said, oh my goodness, how is that these students throughout California, throughout New York, throughout everywhere are making such an effort to protect Mauna Kea, and they can't see Mauna Kea like I can. I find that incredible. And I was just filled with just being extremely grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
extremely
it just wanna
grateful.
give this how much I feel that, and the tears in my eyes, and just feeling that, because I'm as blessed as you to have the opportunity to do that and feel the same in so many ways of these protectors that are surrounding us from around the globe, and how the mountain has become a symbol of justice and passive fierce resistance, as you say. But I think what would be very important, if you would mind, or I can toot your horn right now, which I'd really have the honor to do, but this woman in 2019 with some other Kahuna elders started this whole movement on Mauna Kea, because a lot of our listeners are from all over. They might not know the effort and the magnitude of the impact. But over 33 elder kahunas were arrested on the day the Mauna Kea is being threatened by the TMT, which is the 30-meter telescope that they're trying to build there, which is like 5 acres and 18 stories deep, and it's just, the whole thing is, and it's on a watershed, and it's not only on the watershed, but it's on the most sacred land of all the islands, and some of the most sacred lands in the world. It's the church of the people of the Hawaiian cultures. There's some biblical chords buried there. There are the most spiritual people and people who created these islands for the heritage that we stand on, where we live, is being threatened. And there's already 13 telescopes that were put there. That is more than enough. Too many, if you ask me. Too many when the first one was put there. But Pua and 5 other families initially started this movement and pretty much got the legal background information to realize that this was illegally permitted project.
Well, let
And
me, you know what, I'll take it. And what I'm going to start with, everybody out there, is Mauna Kea is just one of the things that we have stood for decades. There are many before me, and hopefully many, many after me. Mauna Kea, yes, is pivotal. And yes, it has brought us together. And yes, we are all standing strong and contributing in some way, but there is an issue for every moment of the day in Hawaii that we need to stand for. From the mountain to the sea, our fresh water, our land bases, our Native Hawaiian issues, the challenges to our traditions and our life ways. I could go on and on. We have every issue that all the rest of you have, except we're located on a very tiny little space with the same issues that you have. And there's no leaving this space unless we plan to move away. So for some of us, there is no turning back. We are on the daily standing for something, standing for everything. If we are kanaka maoli, if we are Hawaiian, we feel it. We feel it deep in the gut that if we don't do something, we're going to lose everything. And so we trudge on. But what I want to say is today I want to talk about how we don't have to trudge on, but we walk on. We be in the healthiest that we can be to do so. So I'm going to really concentrate on that in a minute. So recapping Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea has been being built on since 1968. There have been people standing for the Mauna ever since then and ever since. And because we only have an hour, I couldn't possibly put this movement that we are blessed to be in its context, in its proper context in 1 hour. So I'm going to have to give you a glimpse of the stance for Mauna Kea. And I'm going to say that there's so many documents out there. There's so many books written, chapters written, websites on social media links that you can go to. Just Google us, Mauna Kea Protectors, and you'll find us. So I have to pick and choose what I'm going to say about Mauna Kea. I'm going to honor every protector who has ever stood for Mauna Kea, no matter where they come from. I'm going to honor the original Mauna Kea Hui, which were, yes, 5 petitioners, and we became the 6th petitioner. And what were we petitioning? We were petitioning to stop the building of 18 stories on our mountain. So I want to start by saying that it wasn't that it was a telescope, and that's why we went after it. It could have been anything. There comes a time when anything is the one too many and the one too big. And 18 stories is not allowed to be built anywhere on our island, but yet it's being allowed to be built on Mauna Kea. Not just our watershed, not just a sacred landscape, but for many of us, we live on the slopes of Mauna Kea. We have an exchange, and if I can put it this way, we have an agreement with this mountain. And that agreement is because you reap the benefits of living on the slopes of the Mauna. What is your responsibility to it? Now, there are already 13 telescopes up there, and it's not that we didn't try to stop it before, but if you look at historically where we were at the time, what our kupuna, our elders, were able to do and what they weren't able to do, I'm going to take us just to this moment and to say in this moment, we as a people, myself included as a middle school teacher, but all of us, we have the ability to stand. We have the knowledge base to make a stand. We have the strength in this moment in time to make a stand. And we have the complete understanding that if we don't, the impact on the landscape, be it Mauna Kea, be it Red Hill, be it any land base in Hawaii and beyond, if we don't make a stand, the change and the impact is going to create a loss for the next generations that will not be recoverable. And in that loss of that landscape will be the loss of many of our traditional ways of being and living that have been passed down to us throughout generations immemorial by our kupuna, by our ancestors to us. And don't we have the responsibility to ensure that our children have the ability and the right to practice what comes from their ancestral lineage? Therefore, in this time and space, we must make that stand. And we have the capacity to do that. So I am one of many. And we have made stances from 2010 till this very moment in this recent movement to stand for Mauna Kea. So yes, there have been arrests along the way from 2015. Yes, there were arrests of our elders in 2019, and I wish I could just tell you all the story of how that came to be, that our kupuna were arrested on that day, and the beauty of that moment when that occurred, and the honor that they felt to do that for our people. But like I said, this is an hour. So perhaps for Mauna Kea, what I can say is that I made a pledge to Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea asked me if I would try one more time to stop the telescope because it would change everything on the mountain. And everything on the mountain meant climate change. It meant if 18 stories, the destruction and construction were allowed to occur on the mountain, that the elements and the deities and the ancestors would not be able to resonate with that and would leave. And they would take their elemental forms with them. And what would that be? The snow and the rain and the mist and the fog and the hail. And you can believe that or not, but that is my truth and my story and why I stand. So in fear, as a middle school teacher, I started to stand. And the Idle No More movement of Canada, I found them on Facebook, and they made me stronger. So if you're contemplating standing for something and you feel fear, find a group that will get you through it, through that fear, so you can crawl to courage like I did. I found Idle No More. But now you can find us, Mauna Kea Education. You can find us Protect Mauna Kea. You can find us Oahu Water Protectors. You can find us UC Protectors. You can find us, and we will help you to do what Idle No More did for me. Help you to be brave and strong and make that decision to stand in the best way that you can, hopefully without harming yourself or anyone else, and just doing the best that you can in pono, in upright action. And that's what I decided to do. Now, that road is not easy. That road is exhausting. It's challenging. It really takes a toll on your health if you're not careful. So really, I want to concentrate on that today, if you don't mind.
Yes, please. I was just going to ask you about the challenges. And
the challenges are real. But
corporate greed over humanity's needs. We all have that, no matter where we live.
Totally. It can take you down to your knees, everybody. Yeah. Yes, you can go down, and many of us on this call probably have.
Yes.
And so I want to talk about that a little bit, because so have I. And I have daughters, and so have they, because they follow in the footsteps of their mothers. So if you're a mother with daughters who are standing in a movement, I really want to talk to you right now, especially you, or you have sons that are following you, because what you do, they will imitate. And when you are sick, you are just beginning their journey to the same sickness. So let's talk about that for a little bit. So let's walk in this world in a more healthy manner, because we're going to take an intentional pause every time we ignore a symptom that could be an illness, because we are in the movement and we believe, and sometimes it's true, that the movement will fall apart if we're not at the helm of it, or if we're not doing everything we can every day. We'll become invisible and they'll believe that they've won. So when we have that mentality, we're going to work every day till we fall on our knees. till we're prostrated on the ground, and still we will manage to stand and attend that next meeting and stand on that front line and testify at the next board hearing. We'll do that, won't we? No matter what. So let's take an intentional pause, especially if that's you. And let's think about who's watching us, who's following us, who's imitating us, who thinks that we're role models, who holds us up as somebody special, who thinks that we're something super, like a hero. And then let's really pause. And if that's true for you in any way, then let's think about how we're moving forward and what we're teaching them. And let's go a little bit into the challenge of illness or dis-ease or whatever you want to call it, but when you're not in your finest health. Because I can venture to say, because I know it's true, that for most of my friends who stand for something, most of them have an illness. So let's all stop and take a sip of water. Okay, now let's taste that fresh water. And let's really give thanks to that fresh water. And now let's think about where that fresh water comes from. If you're drinking water right now, where's the source of that fresh water? For me, it's Mauna Kea. For me, it's the watershed behind my house up in the hills. I know where my water comes from. I know it, and I'm blessed by it. And I've been there to those sources. And I've made promises to do my very best to protect that water. Because we all know, haven't we said, Ola Ike Hawai'i, mini wichoni, water is life. In the past few years, I think we've said that more than we probably ever have. And if you've said that in another language, you can put it in the chat. Water indeed is life. And that's why some of us stand for Mauna Kea, because we know that's our water source, as well as our sacred mountain, as well as the home of our ancestors. We know that. So we must stand. We have no choice, because we all just drank water, which ties us all together. If you had water, if not, you can spiritually imagine that. So I'm going to talk about health in terms of meeting Donna. So I got a call from my one of my 20 doctors that I had at one time, doctors, practitioners, healers, you name it, I had them. And that naturopath, I'll call her a doctor for now, for sure, called me and said, do you mind if I give your name to someone who's suffering from the same thing that you are? Because she's really going through it and just needs someone to talk to who has the same ailment. How many of us have done it? If I just could find somebody that has the same thing as me, just to commiserate together, just to compare notes, just to find out what we could do. And I've been suffering since 2020 when I came down from Mauna Kea, when we all left because there was no need for us to be there any longer. Let's just make that clear, because TMT wasn't going to pursue building and COVID had just entered into our communities and there was no need for us to be on the Mauna. We knew they weren't going to try to build, so we all came down. And I got sick after that. Sick in so many different ways. But one of the ways I got sick, so did Donna. And so I said, sure. I didn't know her. I'd never heard of her. And here I was, you know, one of the alaka'is. I'm not a leader, but I am one of the guides for the Mauna Kea movement. And here I was going to just say, yes, of course. So I did. And Donna and I had a conversation on the telephone. And we did commiserate. And we did compare notes. And we did find compassion for each other and for anyone else who was going through the same thing that we were going through. And I had no idea that Donna had a radio show, but you see how these things happen. And this is something about being Hawaiian, being in Hawaii, being the kind of spiritual person you might be. She said, would you come on my radio show? And because we had made a connection, I felt like I couldn't say no. You know what I mean? It was like, sure, because we have just made a connection. Why? Because we are suffering together.
And I just want to share something
Sure.
super special about that connection. We talked about the Mauna and we all of this, and our son, who absolutely, he's a social justice activist and environmental activist to the max, and he came to Hawaii in 2020, right before you guys came down the mountain, and my son had met Pua. So when I realized who I was talking to, because when he came to Hawaii, all he wanted to do was be with the protectors. And we harvested hundreds of pounds of fruit from our land. And he went to all these farms and harvested produce. And he made a couple trips up there and spent several nights up on the mountain. And he had met Pua. So I had like, wow, overwhelmed, how he was so affected by you and the whole movement. And we continued after he left to send supplies and stay very involved, although I'm not an indigenous born here in Hawaii. I felt like I connected with you, Pua, on the level that I just don't, like, for all of us who are listening, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, or we're all indigenous from somewhere, and we're all in Alaska. We fought Pebble Mine. Then there's the water protectors in the Dakotas, and there's so many things, and these connections, these elemental connections, right? They're not by mistake that everybody who's showing up here today. So it was my son who actually introduced me to you before, and I know he'll be listening to the replay, and I am so grateful. So let's continue and hear about where you're at now and the challenges I know you're on with some water people today.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to get an update on, because there's not a lot up there. What are political leaders on the Big Island are doing? What is Tulsi Gabbard doing? She seemed like she was very much going to fight for this. And what would it be like if she was the president today, right? Or the right people in politics who come from the right place. And what can we do, right? So this is like a loaded question. What can all of us do? Because it is, the politicians hold a lot, but I always like to remind people it's the realtors who hold the keys to the community, who are allowing these corporations in, who are selling off our lands, who are with that greed factor. So how do we get to that corporate greed and to get these political atrocities that allowed this permit to go through, although it didn't meet the criteria.
Mhm.
So we need to hear from the most beautiful thing you said, and then I'm going to close my lips here, was that people can reach out to you, right? So the people who are on the call, no matter where you are, because I know there's people from all over the world who tap into these replays even. Where do we start? Where do we go? Do we start with the politicians? Do we start at our city council? How do we move forward to take a stand wherever we're living? And how can also we support Mauna Kea?
Yes, that was pretty loaded, but I can
Loaded.
answer most of that in the time we have. So again, I'm giving you a glimpse, you guys. My family has been in here since I was in the womb. We have been standing for something my whole life, whether it's the bombing of our lands, whether it's cultural rights of hunting in the forest, whether it's Mauna Kea, like I said, whether it's the water, whether it's all of the other issues on the other islands that we have stood and supported. And then those of you on the continent, we have stood for so many of you there. And then we've traveled to around the world to stand with you there. All of it, I'm going to say, comes back to one thing. You got to be healthy first. You have to take care of your health. Pause, everybody. Stop. And when you stop, think about how you're feeling in the moment. Is your hip hurting? Are you getting headaches? Do you have a tooth problem? What is going on with you that please don't ignore? Because I have learned really the hard way that if we are not healthy, we're practically useless when it comes to standing. And most of it can be fixed if we stop in time. So when I was on the Mauna, I knew that I was having some health issues. But the mountain for me was such a vigorous lifestyle, and I was living there for the 9 months. And, you know, if you followed us, you know, we were having rituals 3 times a day. I was a lead chanter on the mountain, facilitator, caretaker, whatever you want to call the group of us that tried to hold it all together. And I knew that, and so think of yourselves right now, if this is you, you're standing for something, but you know you have a health problem, but what do you say? I'll fix it later. Ew, I'll get to it when we win this one, or after we go to court on this time, or when we come down. So whatever you're standing for, first of all, your daughters are watching you. Your sons are watching you, and they're going to imitate that. And I could see that my daughters were the same way. They were exhausted, just like me. Mm-hmm. They were having their own problems, health problems, because they weren't taking care of themselves, because I wasn't taking care of myself. So before we can talk about how we're going to help a movement, how we're going to stand, if we're going to start an organization like we did, if we're going to frontline action, if we're going to testify here, if we're going to write that letter, if we're going to get to that legislature, which is the real killer for me, is that legislative session, that does me in every year. So before you can do all that, check yourself. Let's check ourselves, and let's drink water one more time. Ike Hawai'i.
Ike Hawai'i.
Because for some of you, this might be the most water you can drink all day. And that is no damn joke. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're just being real here, because yes, standing for something is really important, but standing for yourself is even more important, so that you can stand for something else. And if I'm 62 finding that out, I'd rather my daughters at 30 and 20 totally overhaul and correct me when I say, oh, I got to get to that next meeting. No, Ma, you got to eat first. Did you drink enough water today? You know, my kids shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't have to, but they do, because they're not going to follow in my footsteps. So listen very carefully here. My daughters are not going to follow in my footsteps as far as the way that I have treated my own body and health. They have watched me, and thankfully we have all paused. And we have said, is this the way? They have watched me get so ill that in 2021, I said, I'm not going to make it past Christmas. They have watched me get to that, and so many other things. And they said, my gosh, Ma, this is not the way. This is not how you're going to stand. We have to fix things. You have to be better. You have to stick around. You know, you have to stick around. And in 2022, I made a shift. So I'm also going to say something about making a shift, because I only can see a few of you, and I have to really trust when I'm speaking about myself that everybody else who's listening is a friend, is someone who, you know, it's hard to speak when you don't know who you're talking to, because you're just speaking. And then it's being received, and then it's being retold, and then it's being judged, and then it's being criticized, and then it's being. And I get all that because I've been through it. But in the end, I made a shift. And I'm going to share why I made that, how I made that shift, because it might be you. So over the time from 2020 to 2021, I was ill, and I started reaching out. Have you ever done that? You reach out to this doctor, and then you reach out to that practitioner, and then, oh, that's not working fast enough. So maybe it's this person. And then, oh, but I heard that that one was pretty good. And then, oh no, maybe it's this one. And by the end, I had like 20 people, if not more, that were helping me. And granted, not all of them could help me, but all of them loved me. And every single one of them, no matter what race they were, where they were from, and they had compassion for me, and they held me. All of them were not the ones that healed me or helped me to heal, but the emotion that they had for me, I treasure till today, whether I saw them one time or whether I saw them 1,000 times. But in the course of that, I found that I accumulated enough medication to open my own pharmacy. Any of you ever did? I mean, I have containers of medicines that I haven't let go of, even though I'm not using them. Boy, you got to watch that, you know, well, try these vitamins, then go over here. No, you got to do these Chinese herbs over here. And then no, try, you know, eat this grass over here. And then, well, don't even tell me about the pharmaceuticals. I've got pharmaceuticals for days. Some I've never even opened, because I looked at and I said, ooh, maybe not this one. Maybe not this one. And so I still get them all packaged, you know, and slowly I'm purging. But even the act of purging is slow, because, ooh, what if I get sick again and I might need this one? If that's you, just, you know, give yourself a break.
Yeah.
You know, and just say, yeah, that's me. And I so love myself that I did all that to save myself and everyone around me. So, ew. But in 2022, I stopped a medication that I had been taking that was really helping me in the short term, but not in the long term. So I'm sharing this because this could be you. And I don't care. You know, I'm at a stage where I just want to live. and really help people. And I don't, yes, I am Pua Case. And I am someone very special. And I hope you can say that about yourself. And I am powerful. And yes, I am a warrior queen. You better damn believe it. Because I work hard every day, and I am going to say it and say it. Say it, because who else will? Sometimes you're the only one saying it to yourself. I really am a warrior queen. So, we're not boasting, we're laughing, but yet it's true, especially mothers. Hell yeah. Lift it. And then daughters of us. Oh my gosh, you've survived us and you're still going, So part of my, I'm not going to go into my illness and all that, let's not do that. We all have one. And maybe for you, you're all healed, and maybe you're on your way. Maybe you've not even ever manifested it, and AO to you for that. Boy, I owe you. But for me, I'll just say part of my situation was ringing in my ears. Then I'm going to cut that so nobody inherit that from me. But that's huge. That's huge on an everyday basis when you have that. So I started taking a medication to help me to go to sleep. And that was just Ambien. And I love Ambien, so I'm not downing Ambien. Okay, I love that. That helped me to sleep throughout the ringing of my ears, throughout the nerve pain that I inherited from my dental work. I throughout everything that happened because of a year of infection, you name it, I had it. And it helped me to sleep. And I took it for a year, but I wasn't really getting better at all. But I was sleeping a little bit more. So, when I go to bed every night, you know what I pray for? I don't pray for world peace. I pray for everyone to have a good night's sleep. Because how many of us actually sleep through the night? Probably not too many. I never have. And if we all slept through the night, I believe that we'd have world peace.
Yeah.
I do. And I'm not even going to go into that. But if we just slept through the night, we'd have world peace. I believe that. And so I woke up one day at the end of 2021, and I felt like I wasn't going to make it. Every morning I woke up, and when I did wake up, I looked outside and I saw the banana trees, and I said, oh my God, I've made it. I'm still alive. That's where I was at. And I stopped taking Ambien. I know that it can be habit forming, but it wasn't for me. Like I woke up and I said, today, no more Ambien. I just said that. And I stopped. And I don't know how I could stop so easily, but I did. It was like, boom, Ambien was out, and a lot of my symptoms disappeared. I'm going to say that straight out. A lot of my symptoms disappeared that I was suffering from.
Mm. And
I'm saying that just in case it's you. If check the meds that you're taking. By no means stop what you're taking, but check it. Is it contributing to your illness? Because I feel like in the end, it contributed to mine. And then I had to figure out of the 20 people who were caring for me, maybe I just had to go down to 5 because I was being split in so many different, great intention. But I needed to come down to who was going to actually help me to help myself to heal. And I brought it to 5. And then I went forward in 2022. And I actually started to get better. I mean, I'll just tell you one thing I couldn't do when I was sick. I couldn't even turn on a computer. That's how sick I was. I even look at the computer and I would be sick. I couldn't write a checkbook. I couldn't fill out a check, and I couldn't pay a bill. And most people didn't know anything. I bet if you knew me, most of you maybe heard I got sick, but you didn't know the extent of it. Of course. Why? Because we all hide it, right? Why? Because we don't want to have people worry about us. We don't want to impose our illness on someone else and they go, oh no. And we just don't do that. We figure it out alone until we find out, like me and Donna, and look, now I'm on a radio show. That she and I were suffering from the same damn dental kind of work. And I mean, really suffering, not kind of, like the kind that you don't know if you're going to make it kind. That's different from, oh, you're kind of sore. And so, that's one thing we do really well. And I'm still like that. But look, I'm sharing it with whoever's listening today. And that's huge for me to say I, Pua Case, was so sick that I didn't know if I would wake up in 2021. And I started preparing. I started putting people's names on all my jewelry. Who am I going to give each piece of jewelry to? Asking my girls what you want, and then what I can give to my halal. And I mean, I was there, and I'm saying that because it's no joke. I went there. But in 2022, I started to shift. And I hope if any of you are not feeling well, that you start to shift in whatever way is going to help you to shift. And so I felt it. And I started being able to do the work. I run a whole organization. I pay 7 people every 2 weeks. We are a presence for Mauna Kea every single day. And I started to slowly get back into that because they covered for me. They ran my Instagram page, they helped me through things. They wrote my invoices for me when I couldn't. And so my Mauna Kea Education and Awareness team, I know I at least have Cheryl on this call, and she knows, and even she doesn't know the whole extent of it because just your spouse knows, yeah? If you have a spouse and you've been ill, just your spouse knows because they're in the room with you at night when you're falling apart. And they have to try to lift you up. And I hope you have a great spouse if you're facing anything like I do, because sometimes I look at my spouse now and I'm like, wow, I can't believe you went through that with me. I can't believe that you held my hand all the way and you didn't give up on me when I was giving up on myself. So, yay, if we have a good spouse. And if you don't have a spouse, when you find one, make sure they're a good one who's going to hold your hand, and then make sure you're that for them. Can you do for them what they've done for you? That's a thought I even carry with me as well. And so this year, I was supposed to speak on this radio show in 2022 in November. And you know what? It was a miracle, you guys. I got better just in time when my mom was getting really ill. I mean, I got better. The Creator and all my guardians helped me to get better just in time for June when my mom started getting really sick. And I could take care of her. I mean, it was like a miracle happened. No joke. I started to get better. My mom started getting more and more sick. She was on oxygen. She couldn't walk. And I started to know that I was going to be better so I could help her. And then she went into the hospital. And I was there every day and every night. And I said, oh my God, I thought I wasn't going to ever be better myself. And look at me. I'm at the hospital saying, don't worry, Mom, I won't leave you. I'll never leave you. I'm right here with you. And my mom passed on October 31st, and she knew it. And she said, I can't believe I'm going on October 31st on Halloween. I said, no worry, Ma, the veil is thin tonight. Just go to the moon. Just fly to the moon. And I was able to help her to fly to the moon and be with her and say, I'm not going to leave you until you go to the moon, Ma. And I was able to do that. And then when my mom left, I'm almost a full-time caretaker of my dad now. 3 meals a day, sleeping over at night, running Mauna Kea Education and Awareness, taking care of my family, being a member of my community, and working really hard to do all of that. So what I will say about that, because I really only have 5 more minutes.
No. As much time as you
Well, let's say 5 more minutes, and then you guys can ask me a question if you want. My caution to all of you, because today I really wanted to talk about recovery, right? Recovery. When we fall down and we go through this process of healing, however, your process is, they're all valid. And then you get into recovery. Caution, caution, caution. Wait, drink water.
I gotta pee now.
Oh, good. Go pee. Middle school teachers, we could hold our pee for 3 days. You know what I mean? That's how. Oh no, I'm still correcting papers, so I better not stop that rhythm. Oh no, what I'm going to teach tomorrow? Oh my goodness, it's tomorrow and I only slept 1 hour, but all my lesson plans are ready for those 7th graders. So more power to you if you stand up and go pee. Take care of that kino, that body of yours. So when we're talking about recovery, caution. Yeah, you go. Don't fall into the same pattern when you get better. Don't become who you were before you were sick. If you ever got sick. I'm talking about that today because we're at different levels of stress, especially women, but I'm not disregarding men. You men out there, don't think I'm disregarding you. I love our men, especially our men who are healing, our men who are making attempt after attempt to get better, and then they fall back and then they get better. And for our indigenous men, damn, I understand why. All that you had to go through when they said no more being a man has affected you even till now. Doesn't mean that you're excused from any kind of behavior. But I will say that I love our men who are working on their healing and who will be working on their healing and who are healed. And I've seen them on the mountain and I've seen them on front lines and I've seen them everywhere. And so I don't want to pretend that I'm only talking to us women, but I know women because that's me. And I know that I'm working on my healing and my process of healing. And so the most important part is when you're better, don't go back into the old pattern of doing as much as you did before in the same way you did it before. You'll just go backwards, and I found that my children, my girls, and if you know my girls, Havani and Kapule, boy, they're Pua's girls. They're made for this, but they are strong and they are fragile. Some days they're visible and some days they feel invisible. And before we all changed, they were most of the time exhausted because they were trying to keep up with me. And they said to me, Mom, you're doing just what you used to do before. And I said, oh my God. I had told myself when I was sick, when I get better, just, you know what my goal was? Just love everybody. When I get better, I'm just going to love everybody. That was my whole goal. And then they said, but you're working just as hard as you used to, in the same way that you used to. Knock it off, Ma. Knock it damn off, because we ain't going through this one more time with you. And so I'm on a work related. Oh, okay. Oh, Margaret. Thank you, Margaret. Oh, there she is. I'm not looking at the chat. And so, but I just happened to glance there because Margaret wrote me a little paragraph there. And I just wanted to, acknowledge some of you really know me. You know me to some degree. Maybe I taught you a hula workshop. Maybe I visited your community. Maybe you stood with me, and maybe I stood with you at the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation and said, no more damn TMT, So if I know you and I can't see you, so I can't acknowledge you, Red Spirit, Motorcycle Club.
I want to say that somebody said, this really relates to what we're doing. First of all, you guys, I'm Donna Maltz. I had to use my husband's computer because mine was sick. It's very sick, and I have to maintain it. I have to fix it. But somebody said, and I wish I remember the name, but I can't use his computer to look at the chat. She says, put on your resume, I am a warrior queen. And I think what we're doing right now in this last bit of you really sharing is really redefining what a warrior queen is. And I think you've done such a beautiful job articulating that. So when everybody, all of us who are listening to this and we're putting on I am a warrior queen, really define what that is so we don't get sick and we can keep doing the good work into our 80s and 90s and so forth. And like Pua, same thing with me, I had to change a lot of things. I was a prolific writer and spending way too much time on the screen. Now I'm dictating my books, and there's different things that we can do. I started this show where I interview thought leaders, change makers, and health professionals that put social and environmental justice at the forefront of their endeavors. So every Thursday I get to talk to people like Auntie Pua. And last week, because you were it was so great, you were talking about sleep. We had Dr. Ann Johnson on, who we talked, the whole episode was about sleep. So we'll have put that in the chat. So if anybody is having sleep issues, this would be a good episode for you to listen to.
Hey, who's not having a sleep issue out there? If you're not having a sleep issue and you're one of us, just throw it on there or private message me and say, Pua, I got it. I got the one. And don't be telling me no meditation and no listen to no mantra. I mean, I've done that. My head is too busy maybe, but if you got an answer that worked for you, there is that chance that it will work for others. So I could go to this side table and give you 1,000 things, but I would love to hear about what makes you sleep. And yes, peace of mind and taking the stress out of your day, closing that chapter in that book that is going on in your head, turning off the TV. There's so many things. I'm not even here. I'm laughing about it because it is what it is. And let's just laugh about it. Oh, we can't sleep all night. But if we can sleep a little longer, little bit longer, that'll be awesome.
And just knowing it and declaring it, it's like being an alcoholic. Once you admit it, about 50% of the problem, right? And I have severe sleep apnea, which has a lot of problems with my dental and my heart arrhythmias and everything. So I really encourage everybody who is having problems sleeping, or if you snore, your spouse snores, to definitely get checked for sleep apnea, because it'll save your life. And it's a really, really important thing to wear a CPAP machine. So, and also drinking, you notice in my water, this is tart cherry juice, which has a natural melatonin in it. And I drink one during the day and then one before I go to bed at night, a smaller one, so I'm not peeing all the time. I pee. But yeah, and you'll learn a lot if you listen to that previous episode, because we are warrior queens. I know most of the people who I know who are on today's live show, they're all people who my motto is, why retire when I can inspire? And it's really, our work is really just beginning. Every day we wake up, every morning we get up, and what can we do now to be a symbol of hope, right? For everybody that we meet, and how can we uplift the person who we're with, or, and sometimes it's a total stranger, and not to, I think the nights that I sleep the best are the days that are the most fulfilling, when I'm bringing more joy and change, the necessary changes, because then I feel like I've done my kuleana, my work is for the day, and I can rest. And I can't say enough about that. I mean, like, living like the future matters. What does it mean, like, to live each and every day in kind of a sacred meditation all day long, where you're putting your energy towards something that will make you so tired at night that you sleep good because you did good for that day. It's that insomnia, if it's not from a physical thing, it's from something that's often tormenting us mentally, that we're not enough or we're not doing enough. So I say, just damn it, do it.
Yeah.
Do it and feel good about it, and just say, I'll finish it tomorrow. There's plenty, there's always going to be something to do. You can't get it all done. So what did you do now? What are you doing now when your daughters bring it to your attention? I heard your laundry list of everything you're doing, including taking care of all this. So how did they set you straight? Because you look beautiful and very vibrant and healthy. And I'm so grateful you showed up today to share all this wisdom. And before we go, I still want to get back to a few of those things, because I want to be current on what's going on.
Yes.
But what
So
did
let
your
me
daughters,
start with what's current, just in
wait,
case.
wait.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What did your daughters call you out on, and what did you do about it? What are you doing?
Watching me on the computer was huge. Watching the amount of Zooms I do,
Yes.
and the presentations that I do, just the amount of work that I was doing without like taking a break and walking around outside. You guys ever break when you're on the computer, like intentional break and go walk around the cul-de-sac, like 10 times? Or after I eat, they insist that I walk for 10 minutes. Ma, just walk for 10 minutes. It'll help you to clear everything. So it was small things, we didn't make big changes. We made small changes, because right now I'm not going to make a big change, but I'll make small, tiny ones when they just point it out to me. Like, are you still doing that? Remember that you have to cut back on this or that. And so it was just like watching me. It's like, oh, my girls, but watching me and helping me to cut back, to relax, relax. Somebody else can do it. Designating more, because now my priority is my dad to add to my plate. So I'm gonna just give a short thing about Mauna Kea, and then I want to really honor you, all of you, by saying something. But so where we are with Mauna Kea, they are determined to build. Don't think it's over. So every day, my organization is a 24/7 Be Visible for Mauna Kea. But I network now with way more. Students in California are extraordinary. Those who support us and spread the word for us, like I just mentioned Red Spirit, and I know some of you are on here, Red Rum Motorcycle Club, man, I'm like the auntie to those motorcycle clubs, and they spread the word for me. People who just spread the word, repost, retell is so important for us, because it's not over. And these big countries, because many of you fight, you have issues with this company and this and this. Well, we're looking at countries and the military. I mean, if that don't make you sick, so you have to really change your attitude about it, because it's countries and military for us. So those are huge. So what's happening right now for Mauna Kea is National Science Foundation is making a determination if they're going to receive money, because they're so short of millions and millions and millions of dollars to build the TMT, but still they want to. So I think the most important thing is to know that it's not over, because they will try to build again, and we will have to be ready. And in the meantime, as we're standing for Mauna Kea, we're looking at Oahu and the Oahu water protectors and the Navy's, contamination of their water. Oh my goodness. And then Haleakala, there's a big fuel spill by the military there. And then the university has a spill on our mountain right now. I mean, like I said, we are not standing for Mauna Kea alone. We are standing for our Hawaii. And then we're here to support you if you reach out to us and say, can you support us? Of course. So, I mean, our plate is filled. It's not over with Mauna Kea. How you can help. Follow us on Instagram and we will tell you. Protect Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea Education and Awareness, my personal Instagram and Facebook. We will tell you how you can help. Very simple. Every Wednesday is Mauna Kea Wear Wednesday. Yeah, Red Spirit? Yes, some of you are active. Every Wednesday you put on something, an earring, a Mauna Kea shawl. You represent Mauna Kea on Wednesdays, one day a week, wear the Mauna. Get a bumper sticker of the cause that you support and put it on your car. Be visible. If not, we are invisible. And if we just do that, I know we'll all sleep better. So I just want to say one thing to this few faces I see over here, and then to everybody else that I can't see. I really want us to, before I leave here, really truly acknowledge the women leaders and the men leaders who are out there. So let's just stop for 1 second. I mean, we're all doing work. We're all doing work. But then there's some of us who have families, who have jobs, who have passions, who have clubs, who have huge family obligations. And we're already tired after that. And then there are those of us, whether it's hereditary, whether it's ancestral, genealogical, community, whatever it is. Then there are the fewer of us who really will take on all that I just mentioned and more. And we really are a few. More than a handful, but not that many, who will say, if I don't stand, then the impact on my own children, my lineage, relatives, is going to be so great that we will lose something that cannot be ever recovered. And we will stand, and we will lead, and we will do the best that we can. And to those men and women, I say to the rest of us, and to myself included, lift them up. Don't bring them down. They are doing the very best that they can. Being as a human being, a short timer on this earth, they are standing for water, They are working every day to bring the salmon home. They are saving their shell mounds. They are trying to keep their cultural traditions and life ways alive for one more day. They are standing for their mountains, their oceans, their fresh water, and their land bases. And they are tired, and sometimes they're angry, and sometimes they'll make an error, and sometimes they'll be sick. But all the time, they will still stand. And to those men and women around the world of all ages, I dedicate every word I said today, and I honor them. And that's what I want to end with, honor.
Oh, thank you so, so, so much. I feel so honored and blessed, as I know everybody who's listening, no matter when you're listening to the replay over and over again, you will sleep better now knowing this. And when we stand and we stand together, there's unity. And where there's unity, we build community. And when there's community, we build our immunity. And we keep each other healthy. And we remind each other what that is to be a warrior queen or king. And I'm just, the way I'm feeling right now, it's like, yeah, I want to stand up. Right? Stand for what we stand on, the Mother Earth, the Pachamama. And I want to thank you so, so much for being here. And for all the new people who came on, we have lots of links. We'd love to keep you updated. Next week, we have an incredible healer who's coming on, Pramila Parham, and how to be well and stay well on your health journey is the topic. And I think that all of us who are doing the work that we do, we benefit by showing up and standing up together for being healthy, staying healthy. Because the healthier we are, the healthier the Pachamama, the Mother Earth, Gaia. And the closer we get to nature, the closer we get to our true nature. And everything that Pua delivered today is in sync with the Mother Earth. And the Mother Earth right now is really sick. And a lot of our warriors and leaders are feeling it. And it's a time to be vigilant. Make meals for each other. Do potlucks that only let in the door healthy foods. Drink the clean, pure water and pause and ask yourself, where did that water come from? Be grateful for each sip we take. And I just don't have anything to say except I honor your closing words. And if there's anything else you want to share, if anybody at this time, I can't see the chat. Tel, who lives in Costa Rica and the Philippines, is my assistant and partner with my show, our show, A Dose of Positivity. I want to thank all of you newcomers for coming, and give a hand to Tel, and a special big heart and hug out to Pua Case. And if anybody this is the time. If you have anything, tell us, is there anything in the chat that we need to address? Any questions direct for Pua? Come off and tell us.
Yeah, from Facebook, from Olela Lopa, she asked if you can speak about Lake Wayu when it is purposeful and right. And I'm not sure if I, read it right. Lake Wayu.
I think you're talking about Lake Waiau, and I feel like I don't want to speak too much more longer because I don't want it to like I want it to end on a really strong note, but I will say Lake Waiau is the highest water in the world from the seafloor, ceremonial water, a lake up near the top of Mauna Kea. And the spirit of that lake is the spirit that asked us if we would try one more time to stop the telescope. So that is a great question. Thank you. And I will say that much about it. So what I would offer is that if you have a question about anything really, just private message me on Instagram or Facebook. Those are sacred tools for me. I use it in a sacred manner. When I'm on Facebook or Instagram, it's like I'm really in a sacred space, and that's the way I use it. And because it has brought people to my life, thousands of people that I never thought would, and it came through the keys. So that's the way I utilize social media, and only in that manner. So I'm happy to just tell me you were on the show and that you had a question for me or a comment. But I know that I don't have to say this, but I only exchange in positivity. We too refined at this point to be entertaining any criticism of any sort or any judgment. We are just here to uplift one another. So if you cannot bring yourself to be that way, then just write to your own self. But I will take anything else. And I'm old enough to say that now, and much wiser. And I'm in recovery. And when you're in recovery, you have to really safeguard and protect your whole self, all the selves in yourself. So do that. And so I want to thank all of you that are on this call. This is the first big Zoom presentation I've done in my recovery from my own journey to health. And so I'm a little rusty in preparing, and I just really want to say that every word I said, I hope brings you good health and great sleep and love for yourself and others, and that you stand like a mountain unshakable, and you flow like a river, and you just be the best person that you can be. And when you gotta go on your knees, we all do, but we are able to stand up again and move forward. And if you need friends, Mauna Kea Education and Awareness got you. Okay? So I think, are we ready to close?
We're ready to close.
Like, are we ready to close? If we're ready to close, we're going to close like we close on the mountain.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Pa'ikalima. That means clap 3 times, right? We know that, because when you clap 3 times, that means you are in agreement. You are in agreement with everything that has been said here, and you lift it to the high mountain. So I'm going to say Pa'ikalima, and we just clap 3 times. Pa'ikalima. 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 And then we all say together. This is a together thing, so unmute yourself.
Mute.
Yeah, let's all get off the mute. Well, say one simple thing when we say it is so, yes indeed. We just say, So let's all do that together. That is so, indeed so. So thank you everybody for being here, whoever you are, wherever you are. I'm here on Mauna Kea Education and Awareness. I'm here on Pua Case, but I'm here right now, and so are we all. And so mahalo nui, and I'm gonna leave this space. So let's leave this space in the best way. Yeah, in the highest way, uplifting one another, full of love in our heart. I am now gonna press leave. Okay, 1, 2, 3, let's all leave.